Let's do it, Nick.
Let's
Week 3.
Week 3.
A Week 3 preview that we're actually going to get out on time. That is very hard for both of us. We are both
very busy.
neurotic. We are both busy, and we have a hard time getting stuff out.
Let's jump into the matchups this week.
Yeah.
Let's start with Thursday Night Football. Dolphins, Bills. The Bills are favored by 11.5. What do you see for this game?
Yeah. The game, for reference, is in Buffalo, which I think makes a difference. Not that it's going to be super cold, but weird things happen when you have to go down to South Beach early in the year and it's 95 or 100 degrees on the field.
Totally.
I mean, the Dolphins, the wheels are coming off a little bit.
Yeah.
I thought maybe, they looked a little bit more competent last week against New England, but they couldn't close games out. They couldn't hang in the game in week 1. You know how I feel about Mike McDaniel's little reinvention of himself. I think it's just a matter of time until they actually bring the guillotine down on him. One thing I look at, if you aren't convinced and you just need a little more proven, is that Miami defensive line has grossly underperformed this year, particularly in the middle. Mm-hmm. They felt like they could offload Christian Wilkins a few years ago, and now they have an interior defensive line that's generated 0 pressures this season. So
0 is insane.
That is insane. So 0 pressures, right? It's hard enough to close on Josh Allen and actually bring him down to the ground. You think about what James Cook has shown to be able to do between the tackles. I think that this is just geared for a bloodbath. I have the Bills winning this one 35-13.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think that you're getting signs of just how bad things are. I mean, you saw the frustration with Tyreek and Tua's inaccuracy. I think that this organization's headed for a total reset. And honestly, this is a nationally broadcast game. And you might see McDaniel gone after this week. I mean, when an owner gets embarrassed on a national scale, like on the national stage, things tend to happen. So we could see some changes in Miami. We could honestly, in a couple of weeks, see some trades starting to happen.
Yeah, it's feeling like a soap opera, which is never good. And Buffalo gets up for these games, these primetime games. I mean, how many times have we seen them just skunk a team on Monday Night Football or Thursday Night Football? So
yeah, I got Bills 35-10. I don't think it's going to be anything close.
On the same page on that one. Moving on to a 1 o'clock kickoff, Falcons at Panthers. The Falcons 4.5-point favorites. Is there any reason for optimism for Bryce Young and these Panthers?
I just can't buy it. I think it's going to be tough to convince myself of having the Panthers pull this one off. And I think, like I talked about week 1, I think the Falcons, what they needed was some kind of pass rush, and that's exactly what they've gotten with James Pierce. They took a risk. They got him late in the first round by giving away their first rounder next year, and it's so far paying off. I mean, he's 5th in the league with a pressure rate of 24%, and I think that their offense has got some weapons. I think Penix is their long-term solution, and I do think that Bijan has been a problem. They lost week 1 in a tight contest to a good team, and then they won pretty handily against the Vikings week 2. So I think the Falcons are going to continue to roll, and I got them winning 24-10.
Yeah, I have 0 faith in the Carolina Panthers. I am tired of the industry plant that is Bryce Young. Nothing personal. I just don't see it happening in Carolina. As for the Falcons, for the number of high draft picks that they have, the top 10 picks, whether it's Bijan or Pitts or London or Penix, it still feels a little bit flat to me. They got the run game going against Minnesota last week, but I want to see more. I think they're just kind of scraping by. I still feel very comfortable with Tampa Bay as that division winner. But, yeah, the Panthers are 22nd in rushing efficiency. The Falcons can really run the football, so I have the Falcons winning that one 20-13. Another game that is set in stone. A lot of games this week, quick sidebar, feel determined to me. Like, I think through 2 weeks you can start to make some assumptions about teams, and you kind of have a feeling of what to expect. And the Packers are playing better football than anybody in the league right now. They travel to Cleveland as 8.5-point favorites on the road. Cleveland, obviously, not the cream of the NFL, but an 8.5-point road favorite is indicative of a good football team. So what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I think that the Packers have looked like a top 3 team in the NFL. They have looked great, and I think that they hit a home run with Micah Parsons. He's looked healthy. Mm-hmm. He's looked explosive. He's looked like a game wrecker. You were spot on week 1 with him being the difference maker for that team, that defense. I think that he makes a big difference because their corners look good, and I think they are good, but they look really good because of him. Because of the pressure that he can generate, it forces teams to get the ball quick and allows Packers to play a little more of an aggressive, breaking things up in the short game kind of defense. I mean, last week, Nixon had 5 PBUs. That's ridiculous. 5 is an insane amount. And it's because Micah Parsons is generating pressure. And I think that's going to be a big impact today. Joe Flacco, he's a pro-style quarterback, not a super mobile quarterback. And under pressure, he hasn't really performed that well. He's just 16 of 33 when under pressure, and I think that's going to be happening a lot this week.
Yeah, and for anyone who thinks that Nick is just being anecdotal there, or that's just Micah Parsons, that's the difference. It's real. You look at the opponent's drop-back success rate when Parsons is on the field, 31.7%. When he's off the field, that's 47.2%. And we don't think of him as this awesome run defender necessarily, but 23.5% rushing success rate when he's on the field, that jumps up to 33%. I mean, the difference is real.
Yeah.
Not only just, here, but I mean, you look at what's happening in Dallas right now, too, how much they could use him. I expected him to kind of be that cherry on top. I maybe didn't even give him credit for how good he was. So yeah. I have the Packers winning handedly 33-13 in the dog pound.
Yeah, I got 31-17. I think that the Browns will get some points on the board, and it's never easy to blow out a team in the NFL. So I think I got it 31-17 Packers.
Another game, moving on, we have Texans at Jaguars, 1 o'clock kickoff. The worst offense in the league, Nick.
Yeah.
The Houston Texans.
It's been rough.
Did not expect to say that through 2 weeks. Ranked 32nd in points per game, traveling to Jacksonville. Here's another weird Florida kickoff situation, possibly. The Jaguars, 1.5 point favorites at home. I mean, is Houston going to fall to 0-3?
Yeah, I do think they will fall to 0-3. I got the Jaguars 21-17. I think neither team has looked great. But Stroud has really been struggling, and it's not just a sophomore slump. It might be a junior year slump too. And I think for the Jaguars, they have figured something out with their running backs. I think that the trade with Bigsby to the Eagles was a great trade because that they've got something in Bashos Tootin. I think that he'll be a stud for them. But also ETN has been balling for them. And I think that they can rely on the short game. We saw it the year before with Bucky Irving on the Buccaneers. Liam Cohn knows how to get the most out of great running backs. And I think he's going to continue to do that there. But they need BTJ to step up. He's short-arming catches. He's not playing the way that they need him to play. This is a big divisional game for them. The Colts have looked good. The Jaguars can't fall behind. And so they need to take care of business here. And so I think they will. And like I said before, I think I got them Jaguars 21-17.
I'm the opposite. I couldn't disagree more.
Really?
Just because I look at who Houston has played so far, and I see it as 2 future division winners in the Buccaneers and the Rams. And they were in both of those games. They lost a close one to LA. They had the heartbreaker at home to the Buccaneers. This is gut check time. For a team with pride that's had back-to-back trips to the divisional round, coming into the year, I thought that they were going to win this division. I know that, Peyton Manning has been reborn in Daniel Jones, but I'm not going to sway on what I think is still a good Houston football team. Gut check time for Stroud, gut check time for Ryans and the whole defense. I just think that this is going to be kind of a rebalancing of the universe. I think the Jaguars have escaped to be 1-1. They should really be 2-0 when you look at how Jake Browning came in through 3 picks and they still managed to lose that game. Until they prove to me that they have, winning DNA, whatever that means, I will just assume that they're going to be the same old Jaguars who blow games and games that matter. So I have Texans squeaking this thing out. I don't think Houston's in a position to blow anybody out right now. 20-17 on the road.
Interesting. Well, is that our first disagreement?
That is.
All right.
I wish we had a little bell to ring or something. It's not in the show budget right now. You guys got to like up. Moving on Speaking of Jake Browning, Mr. Risk, Mr. Paid Off last week, traveling to Minnesota, Bengals at Vikings. Vikings 3-point favorites. J.J. McCarthy will be out in this game.
Yeah, it's the
Nick,
battle of the backup quarterbacks.
Talk to me. The backup battle.
Well, I don't like Carson Wentz, but I think I don't like Browning either. And so it's really going to come down to the supporting cast and who's home. And I think that the Vikings have the better supporting cast, and the Vikings are home. It's going to be sloppy. It's going to be really sloppy. Like you mentioned, Browning had 3 interceptions last week, and that's just not going to win games normally. So I think that with that being said, Vikings take care of business. On that point, though, the Vikings have been playing the last 2 weeks. Like, J.J. McCarthy's had 1 good quarter out of 8. And that tells you something about the reliance on a good quarterback. They looked good in the first week when J.J. McCarthy had 1 good quarter. Carson Wentz doesn't need to do much. Just don't throw away the game, essentially. He's been on several teams, 6 teams in the last 6 years? Wow. And let's see if he can make one of them stick.
The Vikings are going to be better with Carson Wentz. That's where I came down on this thing. That's my hot take. At some point, we have to look at Kevin O'Connell, and we got to start thinking, does this guy have a fetish for turning around these veteran quarterbacks? You look at what he did with Josh Dobbs. You look at what he did with Sam Darnold. He gets these guys in there who have a whole lot of tread, that's been worn off the tires, and he gets the most out of them. Carson Wentz has played really good football in his career. McCarthy has he turned it up in the second half against Chicago, but other than that, has not played good football. That offense was kind of rudderless last week against the Falcons. I really look at this thing and say, okay, Carson Wentz, you got Kevin O'Connell in your ear. Don't do the crazy backyard, try to break a tackle and throw some goofy interception.
Yeah.
I think O'Connell's going to have him playing within his means. And also, I wouldn't be surprised if Sunday Night Football, the shows are talking about how Carson Wentz has really, regained his old form and looks awesome. Because that's just what O'Connell does. That's what this system does. You get to throw to Justin Jefferson. You have a stable run game. And then, complementing that is the number 1 pass defense in the league, going up against a very pass-dependent offense of the Cincinnati Bengals. I see the Vikings winning this one at home 24-20.
Yeah, I think Carson Wentz won't look terrible, but I think the take of him being his former self is crazy. That is just not going to happen. Carson Wentz has shown again and again with different coordinators and different schemes that he is not his former self, and I think that's going to continue.
None of them were Kevin O'Connell. Kevin O'Connell.
Hit Andy
Nick,
Reid.
You're throwing for 150 yards under Kevin O'Connell tomorrow. he's a guru. He's truly a guru. Speaking of quarterbacks trying to rekindle their careers, rediscover their heydays, get back on track, Aaron Rodgers traveling to New England. The Steelers, slight underdog, 1.5 point versus the Patriots. Where did you come down on this game?
I think that the Patriots defense is really not where it needs to be. I think Christian Gonzalez is going to be a big miss. I don't think he'll play this week. So I think that's going to hurt them.
What is going on with Gonzo? This defense does not look good.
His hamstring.
Yeah. You're a football player. That hamstring early on, that's going to linger.
Yeah, hamstrings linger, and it's it kind of holds you back from being able to just be aggressive because it's just in the back of your head, and I think that definitely is impacting him. I think this is going to be a defensive battle, though. I don't think anyone's going to look that good offensively. I've expected a lot more out of Trayvon Henderson, and he hasn't really produced this year. Drake May looked better last week, but he's not where this team needs to be, and I think Aaron Rodgers wins in that head-to-head right there from a quarterback standpoint. But also, I think the Steelers' defense is old, and I think that it's starting to show this year. T.J. Watt hasn't had a sack in 6 games.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised to see that the Patriots were favored in this game. I think you just take into account the quality of the competition. They needed an Antonio Gibson kick return to squeak one out against the Dolphins.
The Dolphins are
Whereas the Steelers, don't get me wrong, super disappointing loss. total shocker for me to lose to Seattle, but Seattle's a good football team. You know, they are relatively complete when you hold them up to a team like Miami.
Mm-hmm.
I will admit, I mean, that loss was confidence shaking because Pittsburgh is normally the team that is the beneficiary of the guy who doesn't know the rules and lets the ball bounce into the end zone.
That's insane.
That was horrible. And you expect Tomlin and that staff, that veteran staff, to have their guys prepare better than that, whatever it is. I don't know how much blame to heap on, but the end of the day is the Steelers lost that game, and I don't think Tomlin is going to let his team lose another.
No.
I have the Steelers traveling to New England, getting the win 26-17. May, unfortunately, to this point, is kind of good for a fumble or an interception a game. Rodgers plays within his means, and I look at how, Gonzalez is out of the lineup. What can they do with Metcalf? I think it's just a tough matchup for New England's young secondary.
Yeah, I got Steelers 21-10. I think same thing. I think it's a tough matchup, and I think Aaron Rodgers is going to take a little bit advantage of the secondary. I don't think it's going to be the cleanest game. It's going to be a lot of punts, but I do think the Steelers end up on top.
So that one may be a little bro matchup, if you will. We have a big bro matchup, a heavyweight bout right here. Rams going to Philadelphia for a 1 o'clock kickoff. I recognize it's on the East Coast. I would have loved to get this thing out of the 1 o'clock jumble, if you will, really get a chance to watch it kind of on its own, especially when you look at the Sunday night game being Giants-Chiefs. Yeah. Wouldn't we rather have Rams-Eagles? I don't know what we're doing there. But Eagles, 3.5-point favorites against a good, if not great, Rams team. Nick, where did you fall on this one?
On this one, I think losing Witherspoon is going to be a big injury for the Rams. Their defenses look good, but we'll see if the backups can show up for the Rams. And then for the Eagles, I think they've been calm, cool, collected. I think that they've looked really, really good this year. And I think they're going to continue to get better every week. I think the Eagles end up winning this one 27-10. Or, sorry, 27-20. But I do think the Rams have had a really, really good defense this year. I think they're arguably top 3 defense in the league. And so it will go back and forth. And I think there's going to be some fourth quarter fanatics with some points going on. I think that it's going to be a slugfest for most of the game. And in the fourth quarter, there'll be a last little rally. But I think that Saquon's going to do some Saquon magic, and he's going to have a big day. But I think that the Rams pass rush with Jared Verse and company is definitely something that's going to be a little problematic.
Yeah, a lot of the same thoughts. I'll say it was kind of satisfying last week to watch the Eagles pull out that very Chiefs-esque Chiefs win over the Chiefs. And it's like they've kind of taken that voodoo magic. They know how to win games. They don't care about throwing for 100 yards or whatever it was that Hurts finished with. It's like they care about winning. Mm-hmm. They can win a lot of ways. And if it needs to be a Saquon 25-carry game, or if it needs to be a A.J. Brown, win down the sideline type of game, then they can do that. Mm-hmm. And it's, at least for the moment, seeing like guys are willing to set aside some of their pride and not be concerned about the statistics and just focus on winning, which is what the Chiefs have done for the past decade at this point almost. So that aside, this is a good Rams team. This was the closest playoff game, counting the Super Bowl, that the Eagles had last year. I don't think Philadelphia's cornerback 2, I think that's a real problem. And I look at the Rams' weapons and what Adams can do and Nakua, and I think that the Rams are going to be able to put pressure on that weak spot for that Philadelphia defense. I have gone back and forth on this one. There's some of the familiarity of like, man, we saw Philadelphia win here a while back, but also Philadelphia hasn't been totally convincing in their victories this year.
I mean, but look at who the Rams have played. It's the Texans and the Titans.
I mean, Texans are good.
Texans have the worst defense in the NFL, and they only worst offense in the NFL. Like, the Titans have no one.
And they won that game handedly. That game was never close, really. So I recognize that, but I also think, like, I'm feeling upset. I'm just gonna say it. I got the Rams pulling this thing off 23-20.
Okay, that's a good take right there. I like it. Jets Buccaneers.
Yeah.
Bucks go in favored by 6.5. How do you see this game playing out?
Yeah, well, assuming that Justin Fields is playing, I think of a healthy Jets offense as one that can kind of blow teams off the line of scrimmage, can threaten them with that read option and the option game and the quick passing to just kind of mitigate some of Fields' his proclivity to make mistakes when he holds onto the ball for a long time. I think Breece Hall looks awesome. The problem with all of this is that they're running into a Bucs defense that is historically stout against the run. This season, 9th in rushing, efficiency allowed on defense. I think that that's a problem. And Tampa is another team that's like, at this point, they're veteran. You look at Baker, who's been there for, 3 years now? Mm-hmm. Mike's been there a long time. Levante David's still out there. Winfield, Vita Vea, guys who were on that Super Bowl team. And against a Jets team that's young and figuring it out, and even their best players haven't had a taste of, playoff football and things like that. And, of course, it's a Week 3 game. How much does that really factor in? I just trust what Baker is doing. I loved what he did in the clutch last week against Houston. And I think that whether or not Fields plays, I feel confident that the Bucs are going to win this thing. Right now I have the score 20-17, so not quite covering that spread, but finding a gritty way to win.
Yeah, I got the score 21-13 Buccaneers. I think Baker's played among the best quarterbacks in the league for the last 2 years. And that's going to translate to wins. I think that the Jets are better than what I expected this year. I did not expect much from them. And it will be a competitive contest. I don't think it's going to be a blowout, but I do think the Buccaneers will feel in control the whole game. And they're ultimately going to take care of business.
Yeah. One team that we did have high expectations for, the Washington Commanders. 1-1 right now. Ran into the buzzsaw that is Green Bay. Can't do much about that. But Jaden Daniels, injured with this knee sprain, not going to play. Nick, what are your thoughts on your team here, who have a pretty real shot as they host the Raiders of falling to 1-2?
Yeah, I think that one of the actually underrated injuries for this week is John Bates. They need him to play. He has been one of the best blocking tight ends in the NFL. They extended him this offseason. They're likely not going to have Jaden Daniels this week. Marcus Mariota was great when he came in last year against the Cowboys and took care of business. And he's a very similar style, so there's not really any hiccups. They lost Eckler for the season, and I think that is a blow, but they have Bill to come in and fill the void. So the point here is John Bates is a difference maker in the run game. And without Jaden Daniels, they need to step up in the run game, and they need their best blocking tight end in for that. And so I think that's a big question there. The other question that I have is, how can the offensive line hold up against Max Crosby and company? I think that was a big issue for them against the Packers. They could not give Jaden Daniels any time. And so they had to play short, quick game the entire game. And with that, the Packers were able to play tight coverage and contest those quick throws. Can Connerly on that right side handle Crosby? He didn't do it last week, and I don't think he'll do it this week. So I think it's going to be tough. But I do like the Commanders is slight favorites in this. I do think they're going to bounce back. They have a long week. They have some time to kind of reset and get set again. And so I got the Commanders winning 17-13.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I came down with the Raiders. I think Raiders are going to pull it out 20-16. A lot of what you said, I think Jaden Daniels right now is masking a lot of this offense's problems. I don't think it was random that, a group of what were considered washed or unknown commodities last season just suddenly were proficient and went all the way to the championship round. I think that was Jaden Daniels. I think right now it's a lot on him, and this offense is a little bit predictable and a little bit cramped, and you don't have the guy who can take the top off the defense, though you paid Terry like he's that guy. Healthy Jaden, I feel confident that they win this game. I'm not saying the floor is falling out from underneath them, but injured Jaden, no Jaden, whatever it is, I have the Raiders pulling this thing out 20-16. Dun 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 dun. I'm gonna do the whole thing. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun.
Indiana Jones.
I gave you a lot of credit for holding eye contact right there. That was long and that was awkward. Indiana Jones, Daniel Jones, the best player in football, your MVP. This is my favorite narrative, unironically. Obviously, those were kind of jokes. This season, this is awesome. Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
Cast aside, nobody wanted him. And here he is finding himself.
Mm-hmm.
In Indianapolis with the Colts. I mean, they are 2-0. They just got a totally gutsy win against the Denver Broncos last week. They travel to the Tennessee Titans. The Colts 3.5-point road favorites. Is there any reason to believe that Daniel Jones is going to fall back to earth?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think this will be a close game. I think the Colts have looked really good the first 2 weeks, and they're playing the easiest competition that they've played so far. I think this is really going to be an opportunity for guys to continue to step up and improve. I like what I've seen in Tyler Warren. I think they're going to continue to get him more involved. This offensive line is looking really, really good. And we talked about it early in the season. We talked about how their O-line isn't what they used to be. They heard that and they responded, and they have been a difference maker. And then as far as the Titans, they just it's you can see why they had the number 1 overall pick. And until Cam Ward is able to get some kind of supporting cast, whether it be protection, we need more out of Calvin Ridley. He had, I think, 3 receptions last week. That's not enough. This needs to be your bell cow wide receiver. Cam Ward was gassing up Calvin Ridley, calling him a top receiver in the league, putting him among the best. And if you're going to be one of the best, you cannot be having 3 receptions for 53 yards. You need to be way better than that, and that's what he needs out of him. I think the Colts win this handily. My prediction is 31-10. I think it's going to be a blowout.
Yeah, it's pretty funny at this point. Daniel Jones among the league leaders in rushing touchdowns. He has 3 rushing touchdowns.
He's an athletic quarterback.
He is.
He's a sneaky athletic
very,
quarterback.
very, first guy in, last guy out, milk pail kind of guy. Yeah, like this is awesome. This is so fun to watch. Quietly in all of this, right? We're heaping all this credit on Jones. Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah.
Went for 1,400 yards last year. He's got 236. Through 2 weeks, 5.5 yards per carry. Again, that's that offensive line creating holes, but also Taylor, a huge run in that Broncos game last week.
Mm-hmm.
That Colts defense is legit, too. I loved some of the moves they made in the offseason, going and getting Cam Bynum. You see the play that he makes, and the celebration might have even been better. I've never seen a player get impregnated on a football field with a football. That was pretty awesome. And, yeah, the Colts are just very good vibes, very un-Colt-like at the moment. I don't know where Anthony Richardson is right now, and I prefer it that way.
Yeah, he's going to be gone.
Yeah. We'll see whether this is the Saints of last season or what through 2 weeks, but it feels real. It feels real. I'm not saying they're going to win the division necessarily, but shoot, you go out 3-0, depending on what happens with Houston, they have a quick leg up. So super exciting for a fan base that deserves it, for a player that deserves it, for a head coach that I think deserves it. So awesome for Indianapolis. Speaking of the Denver Broncos, this to me, game of the week. The AFC West, right? This is really going to matter. The Chargers already have that tiebreaker over the Chiefs. They have their eyes set on winning this division. Broncos traveling to LA. We'll see what kind of home field advantage is actually present there.
Mm-hmm.
And the Chargers are 2.5-point favorites at home, which I thought was interesting. You think of a neutral site location as being or a home as plus 3 points, whatever it is. So I guess Vegas sees Denver as a half-point better team, but I think it's a pretty even matchup. Setting aside just division, every game is close. But I mean, where do you come down on this?
I mean, the Broncos' defense has looked a lot shakier than expected. They need Dre Greenlaw to be healthy and to be playing for them this game in order to hold up here. And Justin Herbert's looked like a great quarterback even this year. He has no interceptions. He's looked sharp. And Bo Nix hasn't. He's been throwing interceptions. He's been turning the ball over. And if the Chargers can put some pressure on him, and if Khalil Mack can be healthy, he got an elbow injury in week 2. Having him will definitely help. But if they can make Nix uncomfortable and force some turnovers, I can see the Chargers pulling this one off.
Yeah, interesting. Last week, Denver, obviously an awesome secondary. They blitzed Daniel Jones at the highest clip. Any defense has blitzed anyone since the start of last season. So that was a signal of we feel confident in our corners holding up against your receivers. We don't think that you're going to be able to deliver against man coverage. Jones did. Herbert will. They're going to have to adjust. They are an aggressive defense, which I appreciate, right? Play to your strengths, do those kind of things. But you also have a good pass rush. You just paid Nick Bonito to be one of the premier pass rushers in the league, and he has been good. But you got to close games like that out. Mm-hmm. And Denver just didn't last week, which was unfortunate for them. I mean, the whole bizarre situation with the field goal at the end of the game. Yeah. Broncos win. No, they don't. But, yeah, Herbert's going to deliver. And Johnston is separating right now and actually catching the football. As long as he gets enough room, Johnston's catching the football. The Chargers, I mean, like I said, Herbert, to me, is playing as well as any quarterback in the league, right? I mean, you put him up there with Love right now. Yeah. Lamar looks awesome from a clean pocket. And the Chargers, we think of this Greg Roman offense. They draft Omarion Hampton in the first round. They bring in Najee Harris, so they're going to run the football. They're number 2 in overall passing efficiency. Yeah. Herbert has looked awesome. 5 touchdowns, no interceptions, taking care of the football, attacking downfield. It's everything that the film nerds and the Herbert stands have been advocating for. Mm-hmm. We finally get to see it. It's finally a healthy offense. And Denver, to me, has not been as convincing.
Yeah.
And
it's that sophomore slump. I think that's what we're seeing with Bo Nix. Like, when you turn the ball over, you put your defense in a bad position, and they're not going to be able to consistently bail you out. And he's been turning the ball over. They're not taking care of the ball. Last year he was a game manager. He didn't turn the ball over that much, and he was consistent. And that's just not what it's been this year. So that's why I've got the Chargers winning 2017.
Yeah, I'm there with you. I have the Chargers winning this game. My final score was 26-20. And it's interesting because I looked, and again, it's 2 weeks. We don't need to overreact. But I looked at these two defenses, right? Because the AFC West was very top of mind this offseason when you think about how the league as a whole is going to shake out. And I looked at LA's defense, and I thought that was a little bit more primed for regression. The departure of Bosa, another year older of Mack, who is that premier pass rusher? Is it Tui Pelotu or whatever? Again, through 2 weeks, calm down. But it's been the Broncos defense that has slipped in the ranks a little bit where, the Chargers have actually been consistent and been top 10, top 5 unit. So, yeah, I think LA pulls this one off. It could be a very different looking matchup when they play again later in the season. But this is going to be a big game for the fate of the AFC West. If LA pulls this off, I mean, they are clearly the front runners moving forward. So no need to spend a whole lot of time on this next game. Saints at Seahawks. Cover your ears because your brother's on the Saints. They suck. They're a horrible team. Your brother's great.
I was about to say, though, what surprised me watching them last week was I expected it to be a problem of quarterbacks. I think Rattler looked really good. He was hitting the throws. Now, granted, the guys weren't catching him. They had almost 5 drops in just the first quarter alone. Like, you can't blame it on Rattler. And that was actually very encouraging to see. He was making plays with his legs. He was throwing great balls, and the people around him weren't making plays. And so while we acknowledge the Saints haven't performed the way that they should, I do think that we have to recognize the quarterback in Spencer Rattler has looked better. And the cool thing is he looks better every week.
Yeah, and they haven't gotten blown off the field in any game, which is, I guess, good to see. You know, a close game against the Cardinals and then a close game against, granted, the purdy-less 49ers. But, yeah, they're in these games. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time here, though. I mean, Seattle's a better football team.
Yeah.
They're at home. They're coming off a big win. I have them pulling this thing out. 26, Saints 16. Seattle's defense is going to give them a ton of trouble.
Yeah, I've got Seahawks 28-24, so yeah, I think that we can agree that it's a Seahawks week.
A team that has gotten blown off the field, a team that has thoroughly disappointed, the Chicago Bears. They bring in the kid genius. They pair him with their
mastermind, that coordinator.
Yeah, and it's not going well. Caleb Williams has struggled. They just imploded against the Lions last week. There was no love lost, apparently, between the Lions and their ex-coordinator. They travel to, or they host the Dallas Cowboys, rather. The Bears are a favorite?
I did not understand that either.
Yeah. I mean, I'll let you take it away, but this team has looked awful.
Yeah, I think the Bears have looked terrible, and I think Caleb's looked terrible. And we can blame it on a coordinator, but a quarterback's got to make some throws. And at some point, a quarterback's got to be able to make some plays for his team, and he just hasn't this year. He's got pieces around him. We've been talking about how well Warren has done, and we're like, oh, where's Loveland? Mm-hmm. But I think that's partially due to poor quarterback play. Now, the Cowboys, on the other hand, I've seen complete identity shift. I think they're turning into back what they used to be, where they can run the ball. And I think Javonte, through the first 2 weeks, has looked great. Javonte had some big expectations when he got drafted out of UNC to the Broncos, but didn't really pan out the way that he wanted. And in Dallas, he's starting to see a new life. I mean, he's been performing really well. They just paid their guard, got him extended, and so I think they're kind of trying to invest back in the trenches and back into traditional ground and pound football. They have a quarterback in Dak, and they got Pickens, but I think that they're trying to really become more of a balanced offense. It's been a pass-heavy offense in the past, and I think that they're going to ground and pound on the Bears this week as well and win this game 24-13.
Yeah, Dak, I mean, it is worth noting Dak is 5th in passing yards, but definitely a little bit more balanced, which is great to see. Cowboys are a fun watch right now. Surprisingly fun. Their defense can't stop anybody. They have good
Never have been.
Yeah. So they just embraced that. They said, all right, get rid of Parsons. We're going to win every game as a shootout, or at least be in every game as a shootout. Go get Pickens, pair him with Lamb, get a solid run game. That offensive line has had tons of investments. They're really good. And you got a quarterback who can sling it. And yeah, I see the same things with Caleb Williams. There are way too many sprays for my liking. And at what point are we just going to say, this is a mechanical issue, this is a physical issue? I don't care about any of the mental. I think it's all of it. There are so many problems that we're just glossing over, and it's like, oh, whatever.
Like he's glossing his nails.
Oh, you can get us in trouble. Yeah, I mean, Dak, I just have so much more confidence in. I know he's going to be able to hit a dig route or a slant route. And so I have the Cowboys winning this thing, 24-20, right? And I can see it even being more convincing than that. I don't care that they're in Chicago.
Yeah, I don't either. It's not the winner. It's not making a difference.
And if it was, I probably wouldn't trust Caleb in the winner.
That's true.
So a game that we got to see in person, Kyler Murray in person, rather, in Week 1 against the Saints. He hosts the 49ers, the Mac Jones-led 49ers. What are your thoughts on this one?
Well, I think Mac Jones steps in perfectly to what they're trying to do in San Francisco. I know that San Francisco was pretty high on Mac Jones when he came out of the draft initially, and I think you see why he fits well into what they're trying to do. I think he, last week, really was starting to gain some confidence again in his abilities. And so I think that the 49ers really pick up right where they left off and continue to do what they need to do on offense. The Cardinals, they are a hit or a miss team. I think they're too inconsistent. And that's why I've got 49ers winning 21-14.
Yeah, there was some speculation last week that, Purdy being out was going to expose some of the problems that they have at receiver and that he was holding a lot of stuff together. No. Like, Mac Jones is a good quarterback when he's confident, and we have confident Mac. And he is a Shanahan dream, plays within his means,
Smart.
Can process, right? Gets the ball out of his hands, and I see it the same way. I have the Niners winning this game 26-21, and kind of just like a kick to the nuts, if you will, of a Cardinals team that has their starting quarterback and is supposed to be making this jump, and it's like, nope, the system of the 49ers is what is ultimately going to prevail.
Yeah, and I mean, Marvin Harrison hasn't been – he got so much hype over the offseason. I just haven't seen him perform what he needs to do.
I think a lot of that is Kyler related, too. I think he's not confident throwing into tight windows. He doesn't push the ball downfield, and he doesn't give him a chance. But moving on, Chiefs versus Giants, because, of course, this is the Sunday night game. We all want New York in prime time. Said some exec in the NFL. I don't.
Hey, they had some.
Last week was awesome.
Some great. They had a great game last week.
They did. Yeah.
It looked like a different Russell Wilson.
They did. So if we get that again, I'm skeptical that we will. Then awesome, we got ourselves an interesting football game. Neighbors, finally. I was waiting. That was the Neighbors game for me that I've been waiting to see. The one catch, practically blind, going up and making like a crazy acrobatic spinning grab, which he kind of did at LSU all the time.
Do you think it's crazy to say that Neighbors is a top 5 receiver in the league?
Physically, he is. He also does have drops and some of the emotional, mental issues. I'm not sure that he's there yet.
I think that's just because it's New York.
I totally do. That's the thing. Like, I have no doubt. Like, there is maybe 2 receivers who can do what he does physically.
Who do you have receivers wise? Who do you think are the 5 receivers that are better than Neighbors in this
Justin
league?
Jefferson, Jamar Chase, A.J. Brown. Like, Lamb is more polished.
If you just inherited a franchise right now, you're telling me you would take A.J. Brown.
I would take A.J. Brown,
over Malik Neighbors.
A.J. Brown is awesome.
Interesting.
A.J. Brown is awesome. But like Lamb and some of the other guys who are more like cerebral or polished or went out of the slot, like that kind of thing, then I'm having a conversation about Neighbors, because Neighbors can be a true X and you can move him around, get him involved. He's like got all the fast twitch and like the Ferrari kind of play to him as well. But this is not a Malik Neighbors discussion, Nick. This is a preview. So I feel pretty confident that the Chiefs are not going to fall to 0-3 to the Giants. So I have them winning this thing 22-17. I trust McDuffie, whether he's one-on-one with Neighbors or however they choose to kind of take away New York's sole offensive weapon. I know Wandale did a little bit last week, but they're a pretty one-dimensional offense, and I think that the Chiefs have all the infrastructure to do it.
Yeah, I think the Chiefs are really disappointed so far this year, but I don't think that they're going to get to 0-3 for the first time in forever. I think that they're going to handle business, and I've got them winning 28-10.
Yeah. Moving on to the Monday night game. A game that we actually want to watch. This is awesome. 1-1 teams had disappointing week 1s, scratched and clawed back in week 2 with statement victories. Lions going to Baltimore. Baltimore 4.5-point home favorites. This is one, I'll just start. I feel very confident in the Ravens in this one. This is the kind of game that they dominate. It is interconference where Lamar is practically untouchable. And it's at home, it's regular season, it's prime time. Like, this always gets the most out of Lamar Jackson. This is a defense that is very vulnerable, very susceptible to the run or the pass. I'm hoping Pat Ricard can go in this game, because the Ravens couldn't get a thing going on the ground last week against the Browns. The Browns stacked the box, and they took Henry away. But I feel... I think Ricard is kind of the engine of that rushing offense a little bit. And they haven't had him through 2 weeks, and that's been quiet. Maybe Isaiah Likely is back. I could see this thing actually getting out of hand in favor of the Ravens. We've seen them dish it out to Detroit in years past, or like what they did to the Broncos or the Seahawks last season. Like, they get up for this kind of game, and I feel pretty confident in that. And I don't think that just because the Bears folded that the Lions are going to be the same team that we've seen in years prior. I think that they're still primed for a little bit of regression.
Yeah, I think that actually is going to be a really good game. I think both teams play well in the spotlight. I think it's going to be really good. I think the Lions got their mojo back last week. Ravens haven't been the greatest run defense last week. They let up a good amount of yards to the Browns. And I think the Lions are going to be able to wait. Was it the Browns last week?
Yeah, they played the Browns.
Okay. And I think the Lions got their running game back last week. And so I'm really curious. That's really the matchup that I want to see, and I think is going to be a big factor in this game. Are Jahmyr Gibbs and Montgomery back, and can they handle the Ravens' defense, especially their D-line, when it comes to the run game? I don't know. I think that the Ravens will not choke this one away like they did with the Bills. But it's going to be a great game, and I got the Ravens 35-31.
Yeah. Real quick, last note, I have 34-27 Ravens winning. I think it's going to be a little bit higher scoring. I just think about how the Lions want to attack, whether it's Laporta or Amon-Ra over the middle. And you think who's sitting in there? That 6'4" Condor, Kyle Hamilton, who I continue to glaze without stop. So, yeah, I think the Ravens pull this thing off. And that will do it, Nate.
That's week 3.
Week 3. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be back at some point, whether it's a recap or another preview, but plenty of stuff getting put out on the channel, so tune in.